Hello, everyone. My name is Jenna Rose Giannetti. For those that do not know me, I am your mindful meditation coach. And today I haven't posted for a while. I've been in a big time of transformation, which I will talk about in another video. But today is 2/20, and there is a national day today to be a part of a global mass of energy to share your story for thank you plant medicine. There was a lot of stigma going around about psychedelics. I actually had this conversation with my mother the other day as well about it. And I want to change the stigma. I want to share my story with plant medicine and change the way that people see it. First and foremost, I ask anyone that watches this to please keep your negative comments to yourself. If you don't agree with what I'm saying, what I've done, that's fine. You know, this is my journey. We're on a journey, but I hope to inspire other people. So please keep your negative comments to yourself, because this is a very vulnerable thing for me and for everyone that is making the mass movement today to do. So just please be mindful. Be mindful of others' feelings. And just send love. So I want to start off by saying that where I am today is not at all where I ever thought I would be. I wanted to share this video about plant medicine and Mother Gaia outside. So I am someone who has always been against drugs. Any kind of substance, I've always been anti. I grew up in a family with addiction. Both of my parents struggled with addiction all of my life. And first off, let me just say I'm so proud of my mom. It's actually her birthday today, and she has been sober 11 years now from alcohol, and I can't, the gratitude I feel for her. I'm so proud of her, and I'm proud of the journey that she has gone on to accomplish what she's accomplished as well. So let me say that. So happy birthday to her, and thank you, Plant Medicine Day. But I came from a family dynamic that had a lot of addiction in it. So I was always against any kind of substance. I limited the amount of alcohol that I partook in. I never was fond of weed. For a long time I was anti-weed. So this idea of psychedelics was never going to happen. Never. And I remember back in high school thinking, I remember a friend had said something about it, and I looked at her like she was crazy. Like, that's going to blow up your mind. Like, don't do that. Like, that's the worst thing you could do. It's a hallucinogenic. Like, don't do it. So I was always anti any kind of drug. And as we grow up, we change, and, the world around us changes. And I want to share my story of, I was supposed to, some of you guys may know, those that know me personally, I was supposed to move to China in 2017. It was one of the biggest moments of my life. I sold everything I owned. I got rid of everything. I moved out of my apartment in preparation to move to China, and it fell through 2 hours before I left for the airport, leaving me on one of the hardest times in my adult life that I had ever gone through. I was pretty much homeless. I didn't have anywhere to live. I was going through a really dark time. I didn't have anything at the time. I had my identity stolen from me. I lost thousands and thousands of dollars that I had spent saving. My credit cards were maxed out. Well, not my credit cards. Credit cards were open in my name. It was just a very rough time in my life, and I spent time manifesting a way out, trying to manifest any way out of Michigan. And long story short, it took me 9 months, and finally I manifested a way out of Michigan. Finally, things were looking up, and I moved to Pittsburgh. And my whole life just came. The light came. There was light in the darkness. And everything was good and everything was whole and my life was coming together until June of 2019. I started falling into a very bad depression, one of the worst depressions I had ever gone through. And I wasn't suicidal, but I was definitely, why am I here? What am I doing? I was feeling regret over China not working out. I was feeling pain and just trying to figure out why am I the way that I am, why I was losing people, and it was a very dark time for me. It was a lot of pain. And I had reached out to a bunch of my friends, seeking help, asking them, okay, well, what can I do? I don't want to live anymore. I don't want to be here anymore. I don't see the light anymore. And at this point, I had always said that about a year previously, I started reading research papers on the benefits of plant medicine, and I heard stories. I had a friend who told me that he was big into cocaine. He was a cocaine addict, and psychedelics healed him. And, so at this point, I knew the benefits of it, but I still was like, I can't do it because of my childhood. And so I had told myself that if I was ever to do psychedelics, if I was ever led to, they would come to me. I would never go seeking them. Because I believe it's a consciousness. And even that I knew the healing benefits of it, but I said I would never make that choice on my own. It's a consciousness in itself. It's a living being. And so I was hosting meditation groups. And my now life partner, my best friend, he came to my meditation group. And it was the second time I had ever met him. And he had them. And he just, out of nowhere, I said something about mushrooms. But I wasn't saying I wanted them. I had just mentioned it. And out of nowhere, he pulls them out. And he's like, hey, you want these? And I'm like, you're fucking crazy. No, I don't want those. Put those away. I gotta lead a meditation right now. But I was in a really bad depression. And so I went through the meditation. And the next day I saw him again. And it was the 4th of July. So it was, the 4th of July. And I ended up just crying. Like, I had just met this person. I had just met them. Yet I just felt this soul connection. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't anything like that. But it was just a familiarity. And so I shared all of my sadness, all of my depression with him. And he said to me, listen, I'm going to give these to you. You don't have to take them. But I've been where you've been. And it's nice to know that if you need them, there is healing in them. And they will heal you. And so I took them. And I didn't take them right away. And I meditated for days, trying to figure out, whatever. They just sat in my closet. Until one day I meditated. And I thought, okay, it's time to do this. It's time to take this. And this wasn't a recreational thing. This wasn't a party. I wanted this to be a sacred, spiritual, ceremonial journey that I went on. And I wanted to do this by myself. And most people, they never do that by yourself. But I needed to do them by myself. Because I needed the healing of it. It was supposed to be ceremonial. And so I asked my Reiki coach to just watch me. And I set up this big ceremony, and I had candles and crystals, and I prayed, and I called in God, and I called in Jesus, and I called in all of my ancestors to be present, to help me on this journey. And I thought I was going to have this big, huge spiritual epiphany. But instead, what ended up happening was I went back to me at 10 years old. I went through my biggest childhood trauma that I had gone through, and I had to relive it. When I was 10 or 12 years old, I was taken away by my parents because of their addictions. And I was living with my aunt and uncle, who I loved. I loved them so much, so much. And all of my parents' addictions, in awe of the suffering that my parents had and I experienced, my parents never traumatized me like I was traumatized when I was at my aunt and uncle's house. I was made to feel like I was always lying, that I was unloved. The minute that I had arrived at the house, they told me I couldn't have contact with anyone. I couldn't call my parents. And as a 10-year-old, that's frightening. My parents were only allowed to write me letters. I was a prisoner. I was literally a prisoner in a place that was supposed to be my home with people who I loved, who trusted me, who were supposed to take me in and help me. And my parents and my grandparents couldn't call me. They could only write me letters. And they would open up all of the letters and all of the packages. And if they thought it was unsafe, they would take it. Like my mom had sent me this manicure set with nail clippers. And they took the nail clippers because they said I was going to hurt myself. One day I woke up with knives and a cigarette cutter under my bed, and they accused me of doing that. One day the house got broken into and robbed, and they accused me of doing that at 10 years old. And I had turned in homework one day, and they accused me of not turning in my homework. And there was just endless stories where I was always accused of lying. And as a 10-year-old, it traumatized me. And finally, one day, they woke me up one morning, and I still remember my aunt woke me up and she said, "We don't want you anymore. You do nothing but cause us pain and burden. Pack up this garbage bag," which I had a baby blankie. She said, "Pack up this garbage bag. We're dropping you off, and you're going to go stay with your grandparents." And so I relived this experience, and I cried, and I laughed, and I felt how I was when I was 10 years old. And in this, it healed me. It showed me why I am the way I am. It showed me why I have the trust issues that I have. It showed me why I have abandonment issues. It showed me why I have the relationship dynamics that I have. It revealed to me what was missing. And there was so much beauty, so much beauty in my journey. And I ended up, and my hair, I hadn't had a haircut in 11 years. I hadn't had a haircut since I was 17. And I realized that there was so much trauma. A lot of people know me as Rose instead of Jenna. And this is when I became Rose, because I realized I know who Jenna is. I know who Janetti is. But who is Rose? Like, we're born with these middle names, and how much identity do we put into these names? And at that time, I wanted to escape the trauma of who Jenna was. And I knew then that, eventually I would come back to my name, and, I can't run from my name, but I wanted to figure out who Rose was. And so I cut off almost all my hair. You can see in my hair the blonde. That's how short it was. That's how short I cut my hair. And this was just in July of this past year. And this is how much it's grown. And I wanted to start over. And eventually, my whole life transformed after that. I ended up going to China, which I will share in another video. And I got a great job right before, and my whole life just blossomed. My whole world just flowered, and I felt the happiness, and I felt the love, and I felt the joy, and the release. And I let go of the trauma. I let go of the pain. And I can say I'm no longer angry anymore. I was able to tell you that story and not cry. I'm not crying, I'm smiling. Because I've forgiven and I've let go, and I realized my aunt and uncle, they did the best they knew how to. And they had no idea that it would traumatize me the way that it has. And I don't know who constantly was setting me up, saying I was doing all these horrible things, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because everyone's justified in their own way. And now I can look at that, and I can look at and have love for those moments, and have healthy relationships, and have healthy boundaries, and have healthy attachment styles. Plant medicine healed me. It healed me. And many people have not agreed. Right after I did this, I called up all of my best friends and I said, I'm healed, I'm good, I'm happy, I'm not depressed anymore. And they staged an intervention for me. They came up to Pittsburgh from Michigan and told me they were worried about me because I did mushrooms. And I got mad and I got angry because it healed me. It changed my life. It changed me. But because of the stigma of things like mushrooms, I lost my best friends that I still don't have today. And they thought they were coming from a good place. They thought they were coming to help. But instead, that hurt me. It hurt me very badly. That something like mushrooms and the stigma that's attached to them made me lose all of my best friends, all of my future bridesmaids. And that is why I'm making this video. Because the stigma that things like mushrooms are negative, things like psychedelics are negative, and they can be. I am not someone that would do them recreationally. It's not something that I would do regularly. But in ceremonial places, in places of deep healing, that's when the plant medicine needs to come out. When you can truly tap into spirit, tap into the source, and ask source, whatever you believe in, to guide you to what needs to be revealed, what healing needs to take place. That was my first experience. And my second experience was recently, where I tapped into my generations again. And that in itself was another beautiful experience. So I send this video to say thank you, plant medicine. Thank you for healing me. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for revealing to me everything that I need to make me become the person that I want to be, to inspire and guide people, and to let go of the stigma of the negatives of it. I hope you found inspiration in my journey. If anyone feels the need to reach out and talk to me about this, I am here. I am here to help. I wish everyone a beautiful day. I send you so much love, so much gratitude. Namaste, guys. Namaste. If you felt inspired, like my video, and feel free to share it. Share my journey, because it's a beautiful journey I've been on. Bye.